2020 was a tumultuous year for everyone, and your retirement plan may be a little off track. So today we are going to give you a top 10 list to help you reassess maybe where you need to be in your retirement planning.
Now, 2020 did change retirement for a lot of people, Amber. Some people retired early, some people decided they had to work longer. So we are going to share with our viewers today 10 tips to help them make sure they're on track to retire when they want to.
So tip number 1 is to be ready for an early, unplanned retirement.
Now, Amber, we did have a couple of clients last year in 2020 who were forced to retire earlier than planned due to the pandemic. They were forced into early retirement. This could continue in 2021, even 2022, as companies reassess, building space that they're going to have, workloads, how are things going to recover, how quickly is things going to recover. So this could affect people going forward as well, and they need to be prepared for that.
So what should someone who's approaching retirement do to make sure they are ready if they find themselves in this boat?
Amber, people just have to be willing to accept it. In one case, we had a client who had kind of talked about retiring for years and never did. He was forced into early retirement and he's loving it, okay? So it's not always a negative thing. But we're also gonna give some more tips here on how you can prepare if this happens as well. But just be willing to accept it, right? Go with the flow.
So our second tip actually can help out with being prepared for an unplanned retirement, and that is to deal with debt early. Deal with debt now.
Deal with debt before retirement. Amber, retirement will be so much easier, so much better if you're not paying off mortgages, credit cards, auto loans, even student loans in retirement. It is far easier to pay down debt while you're working, picking up overtime shifts, working maybe a couple months longer until this debt is paid off. So you're not worried about trying to do that on a fixed income in retirement.
The third tip is to prepare a health insurance strategy. Now this really has to do a lot with people who are retiring early.
Well, Amber, if you retire before age 65, it's very difficult to figure out the health insurance marketplace, right? Everyone knows that you can get on Medicare at 65. But even that's not an end-all solution. There's still costs associated with that. The real problem is when people retire before age 65. They need to understand their health insurance options. COBRA is one. If you're going to be less than 18 months from age 65, you could go on your employer's plan for 18 months. If not, you've got to look at the private health insurance market, the health insurance exchanges. This is where you're going to have probably more than just a financial advisor. You probably have to have a health insurance broker walk through these options with you.
So preparing a health insurance strategy actually leads right into our fourth tip, which is to maximize your health savings account contributions.
Now, in order to do a health savings account, you have to have a high deductible health plan, either on your own or through work. But Amber, the beauty of health savings accounts is there are 3 tax benefits. First of all, contributions go in tax deductible, okay? You get a tax deduction for putting money in. The money can grow tax deferred, and if it comes out to pay for health-related costs, then it comes out tax-free, triple tax benefit. So if you have a health savings account, now is the time to be maxing it out because, like you mentioned, with health insurance, this could be a real key to figuring out how you can pay health insurance premiums using these dollars.
So the fifth tip is to really understand your income options in retirement. Now, this is one of our most basic keys in our retirement planning, is to make sure that you have guaranteed retirement income for life.
And understanding, Amber, too, when should you claim Social Security? Is it better to maybe draw down from your 401k or IRA in the first few years while your Social Security benefits grow? Is that the best thing? Or is it better to turn on Social Security right away? Are you getting a much better return on your other investments? This is where sitting down with a financial planner really helps. Put an income plan together so you understand all these retirement income options, because it's not as simple as just putting money in the bank and then saying we're gonna take it back out. No, we've got to plan this thing out. It's got to last 25, 30 years. So what's the best way, the most efficient way to have income in retirement?
Now, one of the most important parts of establishing a retirement income plan is actually knowing what your income needs are. So before you even sit down with your advisor, make sure you're tracking what you spend. And once that debt is all paid down, you will be able to do this a little more easily, and you'll be able to know what your spending needs are and what your income needs will be in retirement. If you need help with this, you can go to workwithnewgen.com and schedule a 15-minute introductory phone call. The sixth tip goes right along with tip number 5, and that is practice retirement spending now. Now, a common guideline you'll often hear is that retirees should be prepared to replace 80% of their income in retirement. Now, while rules of thumb like this can be very useful, it's better to develop a plan around your real individual spending needs. So over the course of the next year, really track your spending to provide yourself a realistic picture of your own individual income requirements, what they might look like in that first year of retirement. Of course, you'll have to make some adjustments. For example, you might not spend as much on commuting costs when you aren't working, or you might plan to spend more on travel when you're retired. But these are things that you can tweak in your planning. Just make sure that you have a basic idea of what your spending requirements will be in retirement. So tip number 7 is that you need to address your coronavirus hardship withdrawal if you took one.
That would have been in 2020. The law allowed you to take money from an IRA or 401k or TSP and either pay the tax over 3 years or repay it over 3 years. So whatever the plan was, were you going to repay it to the plan itself, or were you going to just pay the tax on it? Either way, get that resolved. Particularly if your plan was to just owe the IRS for the next 3 years, you do not want to retire with a tax debt looming over your head. Get that resolved before retirement. If that means you work a little bit longer, if that means you pick up some overtime shifts, whatever that might be, go ahead and get that resolved before you retire, and you'll thank yourself many times over later.
Tip number 8 is to reassess your post-crisis risk tolerance. Now again, this is something we've really pushed with our clients to make sure that they understand their own risk tolerance for the money that they have that is in the market.
In March 2020, some clients did call us a little panicked about the market. And we said, look, we have you invested according to your risk tolerance. We have certain money guaranteed, certain money at risk. If you feel that your risk tolerance has changed, then retake our risk assessment questionnaire. You can find that at myriskcomfort.com. You know what, Amber? We found out none of our clients actually had their risk tolerance change. They said, you know what? We understand our plan. We understand that we are invested correctly. But now again, maybe you were working in 2020 and you want to retire in 21 or 22 and you don't want to stomach those ups and downs. That is a great time to go to that website and take a new risk tolerance assessment and see if you need to make adjustments in your portfolio.
So make sure your risk tolerance is up to date.
Up to date.
Tip number 9 is to consider part-time work for retirement. Now this has multifacets, right? Because some people want to keep working in retirement as a hobby.
Some people just have to work. But either way, the term we like to use is hybrid retirement. Maybe you retire from your day job, right, of accountant or engineer or project manager, but you still want to do something. We have a lot of clients that think, hey, I'll go work at the Major League Baseball game as an usher and watch baseball a few days a week. Or maybe I'll go work at the local hardware store, things like that. Our neighbor works part-time at the local hardware store. He's retired, but it gives him something to do. But also, Amber, this might be important, again, going back to, had you paid off your debt? Or what are the health insurance options? So again, maybe you're forced into early retirement like we talked about in step 1, and your solution then is to just, I'll just work part-time to check off a few of these extra boxes before I really call it quits for good.
And that leads right into our 10th tip, which is, should you postpone retirement?
If you have to check off a few more boxes, yes, but I will also give you a positive way, Amber. We have a client who was scheduled to retire December 31st, 2020. Well, we met with him in the fall, and he said, Corey, work is so easy right now. He says, there's no one in the office. My boss is not even in the office. My workload has dropped by 50%. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to milk this. So he delayed retirement for 6 months because he was enjoying work. So if you happen to be in that situation, maybe you enjoy working from home now. Maybe you've got some more energy to say, hey, I can go a little while longer. And you can, again, contribute more to your 401k or your TSP or your IRA. You can defer taking Social Security. All of these benefits might come from postponing retirement just a little bit more. But again, going back to step 1, just go with the flow, right? Don't be set on a set date or a set dollar amount in your retirement account. Just kind of go with the flow and see where it takes you.
So sit down with your retirement planner and see if you need to have some flexibility there on your retirement date.
Because you can make the rest of your life the best of your life.
Plan now to retire happy.